melting machine here. I'm gonna pour an ingot today so people can see how you can melt down scrap. We're actually gonna take an ingot that's been poured that needs to be re-poured because it's off center a little bit and it might have a contaminant in it. But the first thing I want to let you know is we're using an oxyacetylene torch, and this torch needs to be turned on either by myself or by Aaron. You guys need to have one of us back here. This is the one thing that might blow up this end of the building. So I'm not going to talk about how to turn it off and on. That'll be our job. But it is an oxyacetylene torch, much like what people use for welding. It has a torch tip on the end that we'll be using. We're set up over here with a crucible, and this is a pouring crucible. This is marked sterling because we're going to be casting sterling silver today. When you buy them, I will show you in another video how to prep them and get them ready for the casting process. Inside here is boraxo that has been glazed, and we've also put a couple of grooves in it. I've made them for right-handed people and left-handed people. But this is the one we're going to be using today. The ingot mold that I'm going to be using today here is cast iron, and it's designed for pouring rod, which is where this piece came from. But if you want to cast sheet, you turn it around the other way here. This holds about 4 ounces, and a lot of times I don't have 4 ounces of gold. So what I do is I slide it over and I pour it so that it's much thicker and denser instead of just a thin little layer on the bottom. The other thing you should notice is that it's kind of black and sooty. If you pour molten metal into this without having the soot on it, it's going to stick to it and you're going to ruin the crucible. You're going to ruin the ingot mold. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to light the torch, and I'm going to spread acetylene over it so that it's kind of like a mold release. Then I'm going to clamp it together, and I'm going to preheat. The clamping mechanism is this here. It'll come in. Okay.
Is that the wrong one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
Sorry.
So no, that's okay. Okay, I'll use that one then. So this comes in and clamps here now that I've unscrewed the screw all the way out. This older one here, I used to have a C-clamp that I used, for it. So when in doubt, make do. So this will get clamped up like this. You can see this is a much newer mold, and that it needs really a lot of soot on it. So I'm going to soot this up. I'm going to clamp it together, and then I'm going to show you how to melt the metal and pour it. The metal, when it melts, you can burn the metal, and you can also keep it too cool. So practicing to learn to do this is really going to be important. But what I have here is a graphite rod. And that graphite rod is going to allow me to stir the metal and pick up any of the impurities. What I'm always fascinated with is this graphite rod is the same thing that a diamond is made out of. And then we also have boraxo that we're using, and this cleans the metal, and it also, I think, makes it a little bit more viscous on the surface there. And this I go and I buy from the hardware store. It's just 3 Mule Team laundry detergent, which is boraxo. So I'm going to grab my eye protection. And students always complain about it being too dark, but this is the standard that we need to not burn our eyes. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to light the torch. So I'm going to say eyes. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to set it up. And you can see that's the acetylene that's on there. And then these are not hot because without the oxygen, it doesn't get hot. And so for me, I like to pour from this end. I like to pour the biggest ingot because when you cast metal, it's very porous. It's like cotton candy. And what we want is something sturdier than that. So by casting the biggest one and then rolling it through the rolling mill and compressing it, it'll give you much more of a wrought iron kind of consistency that's there. So this little notch on this side interferes with me pouring. So I like to come in and just line right up and pour there. So I do like to set it up that way. And then I got to make sure that the two halves are in contact.